We certainly think it's despicable, the violence that has taken place against Tesla, the company, its employees, and also just Americans who have chosen to drive an electric vehicle. Many of them are Democrats, by the way. Democrats were big supporters of Tesla and of electric vehicles until Elon Musk decided to vote for Donald Trump. So we would like Democrats to also come out and condemn this heinous violence that we have seen. And I believe the Attorney General has said she's investigating these incidents as acts of domestic terrorism.
Trump Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt said it loud and clear. And Trump's new Attorney General, Pam Bondi, picked up right where she left off. They're calling it domestic terrorism. They're calling it a national security threat. It was posted proudly on the official White House account like it's some kind of patriotic moment. And Bondi, she's going full-on Bush-Cheney post 9/11, using language we used to reserve for foreign attacks over vandalism. Now, I'm not defending setting Teslas on fire. I'm not excusing that, not at all. But let's be serious. It's not domestic terrorism. It's a government overreaction built for headlines and designed to send a message.
There have been 3 federal charges so far, and I say so far. We are looking at all of these cases across the country. We have a dedicated task force. These are not isolated incidents, as you know, and these aren't vandals. These are Molotov cocktails. You know, that could be a weapon of mass destruction.
Wow. Bondi didn't stop there. She called them arsonists. Trump called them criminals. And now they're floating the idea of sending people to El Salvador, to prison for this. So we're skipping due process, skipping the law, jumping straight to ship them out over spray paint and vandalism. That's not about crime. That's not about justice. That's authoritarianism. And just in case you thought it was just Bondi popping off, MAGA is in lockstep. They want to make examples out of protesters, not just for what they did, but for daring to go after someone like Elon Musk. It's not about Teslas. It's about protecting the oligarch class by criminalizing dissent.
And people need to know that 3 people in custody right now, they will receive severe and swift consequences, and they are facing up to 20 years in prison. We are not negotiating these. We are not coming off these charges. We are looking at everything, especially if this is a concerted effort. This is domestic terrorism.
And if there's one thing MAGA knows how to do, it's giving their base what they want. Big, cinematic, meme-worthy stunts that frame their political enemies as the dangerous other. That's what this is. Propaganda isn't just about punishment, it's about power. These meme-style edits, the glossy videos, the slow-motion shots, they're not meant to inform, they're meant to evoke rage. And once the base is locked in emotionally, it becomes that much easier to justify extreme measures. It's like watching an ad campaign for fascism, one 30-second post at a time.
So if you're going to touch a Tesla, go to a dealership, do anything, you better watch out because we're coming after you.
Wow.
And
Well,
if you're funding this, we're coming after you. We're going to find out who you are.
The days of committing crimes without consequence have ended. Let this be a warning. If you join this wave of domestic terrorism against Tesla properties, the Department of Justice will put you behind bars.
Do you think with the way that the judges have been issuing injunctions, it would be easier or harder to send these Tesla domestic terrorists to a jail in El Salvador than these MS-13 or Tren de Aragua guys?
Well, I view these people as terrorists just like others. When I looked at those showrooms burning and those cars, not 1 or 2, like 7, 8, 10 burning, exploding all over the place. These are terrorists. You didn't have that on January 6th, I can tell you. You didn't have anything like that on January 6th. These are terrorists, and that's an organized event. You know, take a look at their signs. Take a look. They're all made by the same sign company. A nice, expensive job. Now, these are the people that finance it are, in my opinion, in just as big a trouble as the people that are setting the match and setting the fires.
And who's in charge of this messaging machine? Look no further than people like Trump's new border czar, Tom Homan, the guy who helped design the family separation policy, and of course, Steve Bannon, who's practically drooling at the chance to bring back mass deportation. These men aren't new to this. They've been building toward it for years, and they don't care who gets swept up in the dragnet. If you look like the wrong kind of person, if your skin tone or your accent or your zip code makes you a target, you're fair game. They're not trying to fix the system. They're trying to weaponize it.
Do you think the Democrats are inciting this violence? Well, it sure seems that way, and I think Pam is right. If you do something wrong, if you're involved in firebombing these Teslas and going after these dealerships, there should be real consequences, because that's a crime. That is wrong, and it sure looks like domestic terrorism to me as well, and I think the country appreciates that. I think the bigger takeaway for the American people is just how crazy the Democrats have become. I mean, I think this is really now a divide between crazy on the Democrat side, with the left that controls their party, and common sense, as President Trump always says about Republicans. We're the party of common sense.
I think everybody should just get over it and realize what's really going on here. This guy is an American hero. He's an incredible entrepreneur, great executional skills, and everybody burns his cars. I'd like to see them in prison as terrorists.
They can treat this as domestic terrorism, but I would also like to see the FBI and Justice Department track where the money is coming from to fund these attacks. And if they are coordinated in any way and funded from one or two large sources, you are potentially looking at RICO charges.
It's horrible. It's beyond horrible what the left is doing. And at the end of the day, they're attacking all Americans, and this needs to end.
And let's be honest about what that kind of dehumanization creates. When you tell people that immigrants are dangerous, that protesters are terrorists, that anyone stepping out of line is a threat to national security, it clears the runway for cruelty. You're no longer debating policy, you're creating villains. And that's why we're seeing things like migrants being abandoned in the desert or kicked off buses without food or water. That's why children are still being locked in facilities. It's all part of the same playbook. Strip away someone's humanity, and suddenly the unthinkable becomes acceptable.
And if you've committed fraud, we're coming after you. Thank you, Elon, for that. On the violent crime level, thanks to President Trump's directive, we are seeking the death penalty again. So all of these horrible, violent criminals that you're hearing about around the country, they will face the death penalty federally within our country. And the drug dealers need to get out of here, because we are coming after you. We're going to have 94 great U.S. attorneys around this country, and everyone will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Thank you.
Thank you, President. It's at your directive.
I couldn't have said that better. That's very good.
So where does this all go? Well, here's the scary part. When you let people in power label everything they don't like as terrorism, you open the door to criminalizing all forms of protest. Today it's about Teslas. Tomorrow, could be climate change marches, labor strikes, student walkouts. When the line between civil disobedience and criminality gets blurred intentionally, it gives cover for real abuse of power. This isn't about protecting property. This is about protecting the powerful. And if we don't stay alert, the next crackdown won't come with fire. It'll come with laws that strip your rights and call it safety.